Welcome back. We're going to be doing another episode of the Altcoin Hunt. Today's specimen on the table is Overtake, ticker Take, a gaming asset marketplace trying to replace shady forum deals with on-chain escrow and a verifiable trade history. They've got X Item Bay and Item Mania team, a live open beta, and a token that's more loyalty engine than meme. Let's see if it actually does anything better than 20-year-old incumbents, or if it's just another shiny fee switch. We're going to kick it off. We're going to take a look at their website. So this is the open beta. We're going to start off with the narrative and vision like we always do. Their pitch is basically fix the gray market for game items with smart contract escrow, on-chain item checks, and AI-aided pricing. Take what Web2 mileage points did for retention and replace it with an owned transferable token that powers trust, basically staking, reputation, discounts, and access. Here's why it's different. It targets the data verified trade layer, not publishing the games themselves. And it's already in open beta. This is on the SUI network, so something to take note of. Currently, they're listing Lord 9 and Path of Exile 2 items, so you can see a bunch of divine orbs here for sale. And I was trying to figure out how this actually works, and this is a good representation of the flow here. So if you're the seller, you're basically delivering the item off-chain, so in the game itself. The buyer signs the release, the escrow protocol releases the funds. If there's any dispute, the platform will review the dispute and basically either favor the seller or favor the buyer. And I don't know how I feel about this. I honestly don't. I think what they are doing, which is game integration for verified asset trading, meaning the game inherently already has this built in. This flow to me is a lot cleaner and makes a lot more sense. For this, you basically go on their marketplace, you buy some in-game item, wait for that person to actually deliver it to you, sign a release that you got it, that they gave it to you, and then the funds get sort of released. It seems like a lot of work just to get an in-game item. But I think the narrative is there, and for that reason, I gave them a score of 14 out of 20. And we can move on and take a look at the tokenomics and supply. So this just released, at least on CoinMarketCap, yesterday. There's a fixed 1 billion supply of Take. Circulating is about 13% currently. Their distribution is as follows. The community gets 30%, which is a 60-month vest. The ecosystem and liquidity gets about 17.5%. Airdrops are 7%. Exchanges 6%. Marketing 8%. Investors 15%. And teams 16%. That's a lot of percentage points to be giving out. Their white paper is open. I took a look at it. There is seller staking. There is slashing for fraud, fee discounts, things like that, token gated access, and portion of marketplace fees to stakeholders, which is definitely a positive. The pros here for me are that there is a fixed cap. There are long cliffs and there are real utility knobs, but the multi-year unlocks just makes it an overhang unless this scales. For that reason, I gave the tokenomics and supply a 13 out of 20, and we can move on for the tech and execution. Again, their team is pseudo-anonymous. I mean, they have their names in here, but there's not much else about them. Again, this is on SUI, so this is a SUI-based marketplace. They do have a smart contract escrow for this. There is on-chain asset verification. There are some neat, I guess, AI pricing insight tools. The open beta has been live for a while. It's been live since June 20th. They do have open repos on GitHub, but there hasn't been much activity here. It looks kind of dead to me, which is a red flag. But outside of that, the tech does read coherently. What matters is the sort of anti-fraud flows, right? The dispute resolution, how that actual UX looks like, and integrations with major games here is, I think, the value. They're just not there yet. I think they're in currently one game in terms of actual integration. So there's still a long path to go before this really gets somewhere worth looking at. So for that reason, for tech and execution, I gave it a 12 out of 20, and we can move on to the market structure and Liquidity. Right now, there is a $40 million volume in the last 24 hours. The market cap is still sub 10 million. So that's high turnover divided by the high volume. That's basically new listing froth, right? The FDV is at about 75 million. The float is basically 13%. So they are on a lot of markets, which is good. Not a ton, but a lot, with most of the volume being on PancakeSwap. So there is strong day one turnover for a mid-cap gaming token, but the price discovery is sort of newborn. You have to watch the order books and the depth and the exchange concentration on this one. It's still early. So for market structure and liquidity, I gave it a 12 out of 20. No huge red flags there. For the exit risk and VC stakes, there are some risks here. The team has 16%, right, with a 12-month cliff. Over 36 months, investors have 15% at a 6-month cliff over 24 months. It's standard, but it's non-trivial overhang. There are no mega VC names listed publicly in their documentation. The marketplace flywheel must fund the fee share. If it lags, the token utility is basically just cope. At this point, they need to actually integrate with games and get a ton more on here besides just Lord 9 and Path of Exile 2 for this to be a success. So the vesting is long, which is good, but the unlock windows and a cold start for the marketplace is definitely a risk, and that can drain liquidity really fast. So for exit risk and VC stakes, I gave it a 10 out of 20. For a final score, 61 out of 100. This is a high risk, high reward play. This isn't a vibes only sort of launch. They do have a problem that they're solving. Whether or not they solve it fast enough and get enough adoption is really the key here. But treat it as a sort of trade with some potential, not a long-term sort of hold. This is a very niche problem and a very niche sort of token. So I wouldn't really put too much emphasis on it. I do see the application, but I just don't think it has enough really creativity here to make it worth the while, right? There's a bunch of other tokens doing this. It's not really new, for lack of a better word. It could be the first on-chain market that potentially tames the gray market for trading things in game, right? They're not just looking at items, they're looking at potentially being able to sell characters and other things, but that has yet to be proven, and they have yet to actually integrate with any games worthwhile. So until then, I would keep it on the radar, but I wouldn't touch it just yet. That's it for Overtake. Hope you enjoyed this review. As always, if you made it this far, I really appreciate you watching. Thank you so much. You know what to do. I'm not even going to ask you for it. And as always, I'll see you next time.